Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting on Monday, June 9th, 2014. In accordance with the State Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on June 5th, 2014 to the Hillsborough Beacon and Courier News. Roll call, please. Dr. Schiff.
Mrs. Boguszewski. Mrs. Santafonte.
Here.
Mr. Dutta.
Here.
Mr. Gillette.
Here.
Mrs. Haas. Mr. Pulsifer. Mrs. Soisson.
Here.
Mr. Kinst. Mrs. Haley.
Here. Thank you, Dr. Schiff.
We have a quorum.
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Laws of 1975 provides that a public body may exclude the public from that portion of a meeting of which the public body discusses certain matters for which confidentiality is required as permitted in Section B of the Act. The matters to be discussed are as follows: the superintendent's evaluation and a personnel matter. The matters discussed in executive session shall be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in closed session.
I'm going to like to explain
Good evening. We are back in
bids. You
session.
have the quote, the bids,
Welcome to the Hillsborough Township
the
Board of
financial
Education. Good?
You're
Is
going
that
to
better?
explain that today.
Welcome to the Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. Sorry. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely.
Not sure who's not
Boguszewski?
here.
Okay. Ms. Santafonte?
Here.
Okay. Mr. Dutta?
Here.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas? Mrs. Haley?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer? Ms. Soisson?
Here.
And Mr. Kinst? We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Mahmood. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No. Sounds good. In accordance with the State Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on June 5th, 2014 to the Hillsborough Beacon and Courier News. I'd like to point out that correspondence is as listed in the agenda, and I am going to turn it over to Dr. Schiff for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. This is one of my most favorite board meetings of the year. A time that we recognize excellence, we recognize our teachers of the year, and we recognize all of our retirees. And I wanted to share with you just a couple pieces of information about our retirees. This year we have 28 teachers retiring. Collectively, these dedicated teachers have taught for over 660 years.
Wow, that's cool.
Amazing.
The largest groups of retirees are at the elementary level this year. Those teachers have served our youngest population for over 370 years.
Wow.
Just remarkable. Not all by one person, by the way. I know that's what we were thinking. I want to congratulate all of you, but right now I'd like to introduce Dr. Marianne Milady, principal of Amsterdam School, who will introduce her retirees.
It's in the box.
Dr. Milady.
Good evening. On behalf of Amsterdam School and its community, I'd like to congratulate all the retirees and wish them a wonderful, long, and prosperous retirement. I'd like to my first retiree for this evening is Deanna Polson. Come on up, Deanna. Dee has had an illustrious career as an educator. She has been in education for 36 years, 27 and a half of which were in Hillsborough. She taught various elementary school grades, was a school counselor, storyteller, and academic support teacher. I have very fond memories of when I first met Mrs. Polson. I was a kindergarten teacher and she was the district storyteller. I looked forward to seeing her every 6 days when she shared a story or two with my students. With Dee, you never really knew what was in that bag she carried. What you did know was that it was fun and engaging. She would reach into her bag and pull out a flowered hat, a stuffed animal, or even an American flag, but always a book. Then the story would begin, and the students were captivated. It wasn't the little old lady's shoe or that silly hat that had them, it was her. With a smile on her face and enthusiasm in her voice, the magic began. She brought something special to that room that no one else could. She sparked that love for literacy that would remain with her students for years to come. No one, but no one, told a story like Dee. When the role of the storyteller was eliminated from our school, she became a full-time ASI teacher. She taught math and literacy to students of all grade levels and taught it with the same enthusiasm and positive student relationships as she did when she was a storyteller. Her kind manner and instructional skills gave confidence to many a struggling learner. This support and guidance has made a difference in many of our young students' achievement level and attitude toward learning. She demonstrates her enthusiasm and collegial manner in many different ways. She presented herself as a caring, genuine human being who has endeared herself very dearly to the teachers and students of our school. Mrs. Polson embraces Amsterdam School as home. She cares for its community in the same manner. She sits on our crisis management team, Young Authors Day Committee, and was the primary developer of our Field Day program. She ran this annual event for many years. Mrs. Polson is always the first one to step up when someone needs a hand. The teachers, students, and I know this and appreciate it about her. Her excellence in teaching and dedication to our students was recognized in 2005 when she was awarded the Governor's Teacher Recognition Award for Excellence in Teaching. Mrs. Polson is the positive energy of Amsterdam School. She has touched so many students with her care and with her craft. That is why she will leave an everlasting impression on the community of our school. Mrs. Polson has been a support for our school for many years. It is a framework that she leaves behind that will guide future teachers and learners. We wish her much happiness and luck in this truly deserved retirement. Dee once said that children are like treasure chests. You open them up and find a treasure. We think that it is Dee who is indeed the treasure. Thank you for all that you have done and given to our district. Your smile and dedication will be greatly missed. We wish you all the very best in your retirement. Right now, my second retiree from Amsterdam School, it's a sad year for us, is Ms. Julie Statz. Come on up, Julie. Mrs. Statz began her tenure with Hillsborough School as an instructional aide. After seeing her talents and dedication to students, she was soon offered a basic skills instructor position where she remained for 2 years. She then took on the challenge of teaching 4th grade and had many successful years in that role. Her excellence in this role was recognized in 2002 when she was awarded the Governor's Teacher Recognition Award for Excellence in Teaching. The following year, Julie became the teacher of writing for Amsterdam School. To me, this was the defining moment where Mrs. Statz blossomed as an educator. She possesses a genuine love and respect for the writing of a child. One might argue that writing is one of the most difficult tasks for an elementary child to learn and for a teacher to teach. She understood this and made writing come alive for the students in our school. Writing was exciting, not only for our students, but for our teachers as well. She spread the excitement and taught teachers the craft of teaching writing. I learned so much working with her and developed a new appreciation for students' writing. And that is a unique gift I will always treasure. I would like to share one of her former principal's words as he defines Julie's importance to students, teachers, and parents while performing her duties as teacher of writing. Mrs. Statz is an absolutely invaluable member of our teaching staff. She is much more than a content specialist. Mrs. Stat is a mentor, colleague, and coach to all of Amsterdam's professional staff. Personally, my success as a first-year principal is due in no small part to her excellence. She was someone that I will never forget throughout my career, and I think that goes through for many of us. The depth and breadth of Mrs. Stat's professional knowledge is on a level all of its own. She is on a constant mission to be the best educational specialist she can be. Mrs. Stat sets high expectations for herself. She received her master's degree and her reading specialist certification, and in 2009, she switched hats and became the reading specialist for Amsterdam School. Even though retirement is days away, she is still handing me articles to read, organizing materials, and developing new instructional strategies for the upcoming year. Children First is her school anthem. A person with this caliber of professional dedication is one to be admired and respected. During Mrs. Stat's tenure with Hillsborough Schools, she has been a strong advocate for her teachers, displaying exceptional skills and dedication. She has left an imprint on our school, and her work will be an inspiration for teachers many years to come. During my journey in life, I have encountered two types of people: door openers and door closers. Mrs. Stats is a door opener. She has opened the door for countless children by giving them support and tools to become fluent readers and writers. She has opened the door for countless teachers by researching, modeling, mentoring, and sharing best practices so they can deliver instruction which is highly effective. She has opened the door for countless parents so they had the support they needed to be partners in their child's literacy development. She has opened the door for me by using her professional knowledge to teach me literacy practices. And as she opens one more door, Hillsborough Township would like to thank her for her years in service to the students of our schools. And as she begins this new chapter in her life, I hope she understands that our doors will always be open to her. Congratulations, and we wish you the best for your retirement. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Volpe from Hillsborough Elementary School.
Along the lines of echoing what Mrs. Milady liked to say, I'd like to congratulate all of our retirees and bring up HES's retiree for this year, Mrs. Fran Carnes. As most principals probably were over the past couple days, I feverishly went on the internet looking for some good quotes that would match Mrs. Carnes, and I actually found a really good one, and I think this is really applicable to you. Someone once said, "A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others." And I couldn't think of a more appropriate quote for you, Fran. Fran has been involved in education for a long time, since 1999 as a member of the Hillsborough Township Public Schools. She has touched many lives during the past 15 years here, at times in spite of her physical body asking for a respite. All of us at HES are sad to see this teacher who didn't sometimes consume herself for others, but very, very happy for her personally. Everyone in this room knows that you don't go into teaching because you're going to make a lot of money. People become teachers to make a difference to the students that are in their class, to teach them that they can accomplish their goals and become whoever they want to be in this world. At times, for Mrs. Carnes, making a difference also meant teaching her students how to work together in a group, or yes, even about the importance of things like not sticking erasers in your nose or your ears for some of her younger students. Mrs. Carnes showed that you can make a difference in a student's life by the day-to-day things you do for them. Those small things work together to make a big difference in the lives of others. Sometimes these small things included dressing up like a Rubik's Cube, a witch, or Where's Waldo, to both entertain her students and to help build a sense of community. Mrs. Carnes was always available to help her students be successful. Even at the end of a long day, she was there to help students, or sometimes with staff members who were a little down. Mrs. Carnes was the empathetic person, the one who was there for others, would often send a spiritual email to lift everyone's spirits, and she still continues to do so, even though you are officially retired already. So thank you, Mrs. Carnes. Mrs. Carnes was also a multiple-time nominee for our Teacher of the Year. And one of the best quotes she ever received from a parent writing a letter was thanking her for convincing her to put her child in the TP program. The parent said, "Not only is my child a better student for having had you, I'm a better parent for understanding the needs of my child." Can't think of too many compliments bigger than that. As Mrs. Carnes leaves education, she'll be taking on the relatively new challenge of being a grandmother, another role I'm sure she is going to excel in. However, there's one more challenge she has to face before, and her husband Kurt, who's always by her side, is here as well. And Kurt, I think you know what that one last challenge is going to be. She's got 15 years worth of stuff in that classroom, probably from students from 1999, that I'm going to need some help in getting that out for her. The final thing I'd like to say, Mrs. Carnes, is I'd like you to give, as you're standing here in retirement already, I'd like to give you your comments on your report card. For many years, you gave comments to students. So my comments for you on your report card have to do with your positive ability to multitask, managing 20-plus developmentally young students who are much more interested in the color of that stain on the carpet than their math facts. The ability to draw energy from mysterious sources, being pleasant and helpful to the staff and students after being up all night thinking about that one student that you were still trying to reach. The ability to be clairvoyant, seeing beyond the restlessness or disinterest of a student to reach the unique individual hiding behind that appearance. The ability to do the impossible, getting girls to stop chattering and getting boys to stop looking outside on a snow day to further their education. Finally, the ability to change people's lives, sharing the excitement of learning with both students and colleagues alike. Because of these comments, Mrs. Carnes, you have certainly earned an A. Congratulations to you, and thank you for being a wonderful candle to all of your students.
Thank you, Mr. Volpe. And now Ms. Bingard, principal of Hillsborough High School.
Good evening, and I would also like to convey my congratulations to all of the retirees throughout the district. Thank you for all you've done for the children of Hillsborough and for advancing the importance of education through your work and your professionalism. I have 3 retirees with me this evening. The first one about whom I would like to speak is Judith Everett from our library. Mrs. Everett has been in the district for 9 years, working as our librarian at the high school. She's been in education for 17 years. Now, if I were to ask Judy what she likes about the library, she would say everything. And if I were to ask her to explain why students need a library, she would say because they do, because that's where you're going to get all of the knowledge you could possibly ever need about anything you would ever need to know. Now, Mr. Volpe talked about all of us scrambling for quotes about our staff members. I did not. I did not scramble for a quote because I know Mrs. Everett, and I would have had to cite it correctly, make sure that my in-text citations were perfect, and that my reference page was available on the website when I was done. Instead, what I can say is this. Mrs. Everett is one of those absolute consummate professionals. She is smart as a whip, she is personable, she is kind, she is funny, she is dedicated to her craft and to bringing as much knowledge to our students as they can possibly get in any given moment. If you ask her a question about something, she will stack up books for you, she will make a list of internet resources for you, she will do whatever is necessary to get you what you need, and then she'll say, and don't forget to cite it. And we'll follow up on that. After retiring, Mrs. Everett is going to be a part-time public librarian. And as soon as we know where exactly she's going, we're going to share that with our students so they can continue to hound her and get help with things. She's also going to spend her time visiting her sons who are teaching in Japan. Konnichiwa. And I did ask Mrs. Everett for a quote. She said, "Whatever the cost of our libraries, the price is cheap compared to that of an ignorant nation," attributed to Walter Cronkite. Thank you, really, for everything. It has been such an honor working with you all of these years, and you are sincerely going to be missed. It is now my honor to bring up Jane Williams. Jane Williams retired from her position as the district database manager after 28 years in Hillsborough Township Schools. Now, Jane's been largely at the high school the entire time that she's been here. She started as some sort of secretarial position / attendance officer / oh, we're going to a computerized online student record-keeping system, and Jane, you should really know how to use this, and then Jane, you should teach everybody else how to use this, and then, oh, there's this thing called Genesis, and no one speaks this particular language, so Jane, can you figure this out, and Jane, can you teach it to everyone, and Jane, what do you remember about this, and Jane, has anybody seen Jane, because Jane, where's Jane, because hey, Jane, and it just keeps going. Although I'm speaking about her at the high school level, she is, honest to God, a true Hillsborough District employee and retiree. She has done things for every building in this district. She is on first-name basis with the vast majority of this very large personnel system. You can call a teacher in any building and say, I think Jane Williams might know that, and they'll go, okay, I'll call her, and they know exactly who we're talking about, and they would call Jane. Jane also is, after 28 years, responsible for an awful lot of information and memory. And I will tell you a very quick, funny story. Her role is so important, and some of the information that she has had over the years is so critical that one time, when I was just a fledgling vice principal about 15 years ago, she was on vacation, and we needed something that was in her office, and no one could find a key to her office. And her old office used to have a partial wall that only went to about 2 feet from the ceiling, and then it stopped. So what did the other administrators do? Of course, they turned to me and they said, you're young. And next thing you know, there I was, up in the air, over the wall, climbing into her office to get the thing that we needed. But the fact of the matter is, we needed it because Jane had it, because Jane knew it, and because Jane knew it all and could do it all. Replacing her has been very difficult. As a matter of fact, there's really no replacement for Jane. That's not that the person that we've hired isn't wonderful in her own right, she is, but there is one and only one Jane Williams in this world, and I'm really honored to have had her be in my building with me as long as she has. Now, leaving us, she's eventually going to be moving to Austin, Texas, because she recently became a grandmother, and grandbaby is in Texas, so put the two together. That's what she wants to do, is put the two together. And I did ask her for a quote. She said, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can, by John Wesley. And I think to say that Jane has done that with her career is an understatement. It's been an honor to have her as a staff member, as a friend, and as a representative of Hillsborough Township Public Schools. And my final teacher for this evening is Judy Winchok. Judy is going to be retiring after 17 years in our English department, having been in education for 23 years. Now, to say that Ms. Winchok is a lover of all things English is an understatement. Writing is her passion. Teaching writing is her passion. A number of years ago, we were fortunate enough to have a writing lab program, and Ms. Winchok actually was the one in charge of that program, and she would go into every class in the high school for every project that was possibly happening to work with the kids on their writing and to teach them all of the elements that needed to be in place for those projects. It didn't matter how large or how small, how minuscule, how irrelevant, how critical. It didn't matter what it was that they were going to work on. She was going to help them get through it and get through it gracefully. And that was from the logistical end of writing. And teachers were using her and sending kids down and social studies projects, science projects. It didn't matter. You had to, in order to get your grade in the end, you had to have a Miss Winchok sign-off on your piece of writing. And you know what? Our kids' writing really, really benefited as a result of it. Unfortunately, budget cuts being what they were in one very difficult year a few years ago, the program wound up being cut. But that didn't change Miss Winchok's dedication. She's also a teacher of creative writing. She just brings kids to new places and encourages them to play with the language in ways that they may not have considered before. And because of that, I think even though the writing lab program is gone, her dedication to the craft of writing, the art of writing, has done wonders for the students of Hillsborough High School. After 23 years in education, no surprise that Ms. Winchuk's plans after retirement will be to continue to help writers of all genres. Surprise, surprise. I asked her for her message, and she says, as one travels through life, it's best to take the back roads instead of the highway. The scenery is so much better. And I think it's safe to say it also gives you much greater food for what you're going to share in your writing with other people. Thank you for everything. Enjoy every moment of your retirement. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Joseph Trabulski from Hillsborough Middle School.
Thank you, Karen. And my warm appreciation, too, to my friends and colleagues from around the district who are retiring. As the science supervisor before becoming principal, I had the great honor of working with so many of you, and your expertise and phenomenal dedication is just astounding. So congratulations to all of you. I have 3 retirees to honor this evening from my own school, and I couldn't be more proud to introduce the first of those 3, Jim Colangelo. Jim, if you'll kindly join me up here. Jim's going to tear up already. Jim Colangelo is retiring after 42 years in education. Yeah, he doesn't look it, I know. Stand next to me so I look younger. The past 34 serving the students of Hillsborough Township. Jim began his career in Hillsborough, Florida, then moved to New Jersey, found even better Hillsborough here in Hillsborough, New Jersey, teaching at Hillsborough High School first in 1980, then transferring over to Hillsborough Middle School around 1991. Where he has taught generations of youngsters how to plan, design, and ultimately craft and produce some of the finest practical works in all of the state, frankly, using handsaws and sanders and routers and hammers and screws and countersinking and joining and planing and sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding. And when students would approach him and say, "Mr. Colangelo, have I sanded enough?" his answer would be, "Do you think you've sanded enough?" And they would go back and sand some more to bring that polish up. But truth be told, each marking period, students would stroll out of the 8th grade shop with their individual tables, beaming with joy and showing me the craftsmanship and the pride of the work that they had put together for their table, that I have no doubt, years from now, when they have forgotten much of what they've experienced in Hillsborough, the one thing they will treasure and remember always in the corner of their room, that table, and they will think proudly and fondly back on the day when they were 14 years old and built that table and think to themselves, it was Mr. Colangelo that taught me how. Jim, thank you so much for your dedicated service to Hillsborough. My second honoree this evening is Laura Gainsbourg. Laura, come on up. Laura is celebrating 40 years in education, dating back to 1974, when she began her career in Lynchburg, Virginia. Laura then came to Hillsborough Middle School around 1986 and has been teaching literacy in my school now for the past 28 years. Now, if you were to visit Laura's classroom, you would always find her seated among her students like artisans gathered around a master class. They would be unpacking each metaphor, each allusion. Laura would be guiding them through every twist and turn of the plot, getting them to think deeper and deeper about the author's purpose and the author's writing and the author's use of figurative language, and then bring that right into their writing and making them write their arguments with more passion and more vigor and better transition phrases and better vocabulary and certainly better grammar. No one left Laura Gainsbourg's classroom without knowing their grammar. Over the years, though, Laura has inspired generations of young writers, mentored countless new teachers, launching their careers. For all of her efforts in and out of the classroom, Laura was recognized as our Teacher of the Year back, a few years back, I won't say how long ago that was, and her passion and vigor in the classroom has never waned or wavered one bit from that day. Laura, on behalf of Hillsborough Middle School, thank you so much for all you have given to your students. And my third honoree this evening is Marilyn Leone. Marilyn, please join me up here. So Marilyn Leone began her career in 1967 at the Bayberry School in Watchung, New Jersey. I won't say what I was doing in 1967. She taught for a few years and took some time off, raised a family, returned to teaching in Hillsborough, started as a substitute teacher in the mid-'80s, and then in 1992 she accepted a position full-time in the classroom, once again now as a computer and technology resource teacher. As you can see, Marilyn hasn't aged a bit in those 22 years. However, technology has changed dramatically, and she has guided us through the age of Apple IIes, green screens, floppy disks, DOS, right up to the age of touch screens, tablets, and smartphones, Google searches, Google Docs, Google, digital citizenship now. Through all of those changes, you were there with a patient and steady hand, guiding us, staff and students alike, through it all. And on those rare occasions when the technology didn't quite work as it was supposed to, and we wanted to take a hammer from the shop to some of our devices, you were there, calm and steady, clear directions, solution at hand to help us solve the problem. And funny how the problem is often much more human error than technological error, as you were fond to remind us. Marilyn, for all those years of dedicated service to Hillsborough students and staff, thank you so much, and all the best in your retirement as well. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Kerrigan, principal of Woodfern Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. The upside and the downside always is there. The downside of going this late in the evening is, I have to say yet again, I want to thank all of the retirees for their dedication. I want to wish you all well. I'm trying to keep it consistent, making sure every person who comes up here says the same thing. I wish I had a better way to say it, but I had some pretty tough competition to follow there. From Woodfern this year, I'd like to bring up our retiree, Mrs. Karen Moriarty. In putting together this very brief speech about Karen, I found myself approaching it the way probably some of your students do. And by that I mean, I started to bullet things out and let the planning go and then try to turn it into something that's a little bit more artistic. So I'm going to get the nuts and bolts out of the way first. Mrs. Moriarty has been a teacher for 25 years. She has touched the lives of students in grades 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, ASI, kindergarten, TP, you name it, she has met with them. She and her husband Jack have lived in Hillsborough for 28 years, and some of her proudest moments are when both of her children graduated from Hillsborough High School. Her daughter is now a physical therapist, lives in Massachusetts, is married and has 2 children, and her son is a Penn State graduate and is working in finance. There, that's all the bullet stuff. Now, how do I put into words what Mrs. Moriarty brings every day to the classroom? I've had the pleasure of working with Karen for 2 years now, and whether it's in a small group, whether it's in front of a large group, whether it's sharing some time with her working with other teachers, I am awed by how effortlessly she takes very, very complicated ideas, concepts, thoughts, and presents them in a way that really makes me say, I wish I'd have thought of saying it that way. I wish I could have presented it like that. Her presentation, her love for her students comes through in everything that she does. I'm not shy about saying that I ask Karen to do a lot of extra things in the building, things that only she can do when it comes to mentoring a young teacher, when it comes to taking a few extra minutes with a student. There are often times where she approaches me and asks me, is there anything I can do to help? And it's that embodiment of, these are all our students that truly makes Karen a master teacher and an outstanding educator. She and her husband are moving to Plymouth, Massachusetts. And the big issue that I have with that is the commute to be a sub at Woodfern is going to be very, very long. I come from South Amboy and it's tough, so I don't know what the Mass Pike is going to be. No, in all seriousness, for all that you have done, thank you. I'd now like to introduce Mrs. Jody Howe, principal of Woods Road Elementary School.
Good evening, and keeping up with the tradition, and because I'm W like Steve, we have two retirees. First, I would like to thank all of the retirees and wish them the best of luck in their new journey. Could we have Mrs. Powers come up to the podium along with Mrs. Geraldine Fierce come up to the podium, please, together. Being a teacher is a different kind of life. Bankers may face a financial crisis or a failure of a business deal. Teachers, though, face a far more important challenge. Their job is to influence a person's whole future. It's an awesome task, and some of us are obviously better fitted to it than others. Mrs. Powers, our special education teacher, and Mrs. Fierce, our library media specialist, have always been great role models for our students. Mrs. Powers has been in our district since 1996, and Mrs. Fierce has been in our district since 1993. Today, although we may be saying goodbye, they leave a rich legacy to the pupils they've taught. They've shown us and shown them the possibility that education opens us all. Mrs. Powers and Mrs. Fierce have shared their lives, and they will be remembered for their personal interest in their well-being of each student. The staff, too, will remember them, but for other reasons. Their professionalism was an example to us all. Other than that, Mrs. Powers has always been a wise friend, a wonderful colleague, a good companion, and she could tell a good story or two. Parents who have come in contact with Mrs. Powers have always spoken of her courtesy and consideration. We will miss Mrs. Powers in the school. We will miss her help in all sorts of purely personal ways. Each one of us, I know, experienced some act of kindness at her hands. We will miss Mrs. Fierce for her willingness to participate in just about everything, as well as her outfits, her creative outfits, from head to toe, from hats to sunglasses to her shoes, all theme-based around our holidays. We will also miss the smell of her tea in the office and her assistance in sorting the mounds and mounds of mail. Now, let's talk about that doll on your chair. Well, maybe not so much. But we will talk about the puppets. She loves her puppets, and as she's out on bus duty every day, she greets us with a puppet. Working with Mrs. Powers and Mrs. Fierce has taught us many things. They, for instance, have a great store of patience, which is probably one of the most necessary qualifications for a teacher. They also have wonderful enthusiasm for their subjects, and in turn, that enthusiasm has rubbed off on their students. Today, both Mrs. Powers and Mrs. Fierce are leaving to start a new life. I know that having time with their family and friends is one big priority. Other than that, they, though, will probably surprise us in what they now embark on their journey. Today, I wish them luck in their retirement. I hope that it proves to be all that they have planned. I know that they will be thinking of us when we are busy working on our SGOs, our DRAs, our TINET, our ERLA, observations, and data, and data, while they're waking up after 8 a.m., while they're enjoying the sun and spending time perhaps reading a good book, or just quality time with the family. In whatever you do undertake, we wish you all of the success and the enjoyment that you so richly deserve and have earned so well. We will be forever grateful for your contributions to the life of Woods Road School. Thank you and congratulations.
Congratulations once again to all of our retirees, and now it's my pleasure to begin the process of introducing our Teachers of the Year. Dr. Milady, if you wouldn't mind returning to the podium, Principal of Amsterdam School, who will introduce her Teacher of the Year. Dr. Milady.
Good evening. Amsterdam School Teacher of the Year is Ms. Christina Mandracia, and I don't think that she's here this evening. I just heard from the crowd that she's sick. I'd just like to congratulate her on this wonderful award. Tina is most deserving of this award, and she also received the Teachers Who Make Magic, and that is Tina. Tina makes magic in the classroom. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Volpe.
HES's Teacher of the Year is Mrs. Dolores Marsicano. Dolores, if you can come up, please. Dolores, before you get up here, are you a football fan? Good, she gave me the face, first of all, because that's going to come back in my speech. Are you a football fan? A little bit. Okay, because I'm going to tell you that the first thing that comes into my mind when I think of you as a teacher is NFL Hall of Famer running back Barry Sanders. You don't look much like him or anything. Oh, she knows where I'm going with this. For those of you who are football fans, you may know that Barry Sanders, arguably one of the best you've probably ever seen. Mrs. Marsicano along those same lines. Barry Sanders also, besides being a spectacular performer on what he does on a day-to-day basis, decided at one point that, hey, I'm pretty much the best that there is, and he took his ball and he went home. And a lot of NFL fans were left feeling that, oh my gosh, there's so much more for Barry Sanders to give. Other teams went out there, thought he was retiring just to get away from the Detroit Lions, and they were offering him contracts. And years later, people interviewed Barry Sanders. Barry, why did you, I'm going to say the R word, why did you retire? And he said it was time. Mrs. Marsicano and I have started having that conversation. So I'm hoping, number one, that this isn't the only speech I'm ever going to give to you. I'm kind of working on her because, Mrs. Marsicano, you certainly have more to give. Another way in which you're like Barry Sanders is, if anybody is a football fan out there, or not, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do this. In mid to late 90s, the Detroit Lions were in a playoff game against the Dallas Cowboys. If you go and YouTube this, you can find this clip online. And Barry Sanders just does this amazing run all over the field, and there's a linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys who literally did this on the field. Didn't know which end was up. I did that once in her classroom. Mrs. Marsicano is so adept at serving the individual needs of her classroom, and there are many, it seems, each and every year, that I was observing her, and I looked up at what she was doing, and I looked down, and I started typing, and I looked up, and she was gone, and she was behind me, and I had no idea. And these are the common things that you do on a day-to-day basis. It's not just about the academics. It's about some of the students who have deep psychological needs that you're able to analyze and help out. It's about the extras that you give these kids on a daily basis. It's about making your colleagues around you better, and if I may say, it's about making your principal a better principal. The reason why I said she gave the face, which I was kind of hoping that she would on the way up here, is Dolores. I'm a better principal because I've had the honor and pleasure of working with you too. And most of the time, as managers, if you've any kind of manager whatsoever, you know you have those people who work for you who are in your office 6 times a day, and you know those people who are in your office 6 times a year. Mrs. Marsicano is one of those people who comes in 6 times a year. So when she comes in, you listen. Many times it's about a student, but sometimes it'll be like this. It'll be a conversation. It's always polite. It's always wonderful to talk to Dolores. But sometimes the conversation goes like this. Mike, that thing you're doing, don't do it. It's not going to be good for the school. It's not going to be good for the kids. And I'm like, really? She's like, really? I know what you're trying to do, but I'm just letting you know for your own good. And she's right. Mrs. Marsicano, you are right when it comes to kids. You are right when it comes to your colleagues. You are right when it comes to your principal. And I hope you know that it would also be the right thing for you to stick around a little bit longer so that in another year or 2 or 5 or 10, I can come back to this and put you as on the retirement speeches. Mrs. Marsicano called herself for many years the Susan Lucci of HES. It was always a given that she was going to be nominated for Teacher of the Year. And this was the year that finally she got her just deserved. Congratulations, Mrs. Marsicano.
Thank you. Mr. Chris,
I forgot to, who am I introducing? Mr. Chris Carey? Okay. I said I would introduce whoever it was because I forgot last time.
That's all right.
How about for Chris Carey, principal of Aughton Road Intermediate School?
Thank you, Mr. Volpe. Good evening, everyone. I'll play catch up real fast as well to also congratulate all of the retirees this evening, and also for all those who have earned the Teacher of the Year award, and a very special shout out to our middle school retirees, Jim, Laura, and Marilyn. Special place in my heart to all three of you as well. I have the honor of Marissa Martin. Please come on up, the Aughton Road Teacher of the Year. How about a round of applause for Marissa? So, Marissa is the 6th grade art teacher at Aughton Road. Once you meet Marissa, you will quickly learn how nurturing she is as an individual. This character trait spreads into all she does in the classroom. It may sound cliche, but it's very true. Marissa always goes the extra mile and does whatever it takes to help her students find success. Each time I visit her classroom, I am so taken back and impressed by the quality of student work that they put together. So colorful, vibrant, just individualized, and every time you're in the classroom, you see the smiles of the students throughout. So it's a wonderful place to visit. Wish you could be there, but I have the privilege of going all the time. Over the last number of years, Marissa has served as a member of Aughton Road's Character Education Committee, and she's on our CERT team. She also serves as our school's co-advisor for the Mural Club and the 5th grade I Run group. And in fact, if you walk around the building, you'll see a lot of murals that Marissa has helped to work with the students to put together, and we thank her so much for that wonderful work. Additionally, Marissa has coordinated over the last 3 years a wonderful activity that has started in our extended homeroom called Pinwheels for Peace. And it's something that she spearheaded about 3 years ago, coordinated from beginning to end, and it's been something that we do each year, and we thank Marissa for continuing that. It's a wonderful opportunity to teach character education in fun and interesting ways for our students. Always trying to better herself, Marissa is in the midst of earning her master's degree in elementary education and special education from the College of New Jersey. And a particular comment from a colleague that I felt particularly summarized Marissa's impact on school so well is this. Ms. Martin inherently knows how important it is for children to make positive connections with adults in their lives. She often mentors students, and sometimes she just takes time to bring a smile to students' faces when they're facing some sad times. I greatly appreciate that comment because it so nicely captures why so many of us get into education and why Marissa is our Teacher of the Year this year. Through it all, Marissa always places a premium on the needs of her students, and for that, we are so very proud of the example that she leads each and every day at Aughton Road. On behalf of the entire Hillsborough community and Aughton Road Intermediate School, Marissa, thank you for all you do and for inspiring the very best in each of us. We are honored and privileged to have you represent us this year as Teacher of the Year, and there's so many more, and here's certainly so many more years in the classroom doing what you do so well through hard work and that natural gift to touch lives. Congratulations. And I have no idea who I'm introducing at this point. Miss Karen Bingert, Principal, Hillsborough High School.
Unfortunately, Christine Muku could not be here this evening. She is a vocal music teacher at Hillsborough High School. She's been in the district and in education for 16 years. She can't be with us tonight because she is at the high school participating in the Theater Night Awards program for our students, and I think right there that just about sums it up for Dr. Miku. Given an opportunity to celebrate herself or celebrate her students, she's going to go with the students every single time. And that's precisely why she was our Teacher of the Year at the high school. Another thing that totally sums her up is a few years ago the kids were looking for a t-shirt design, and they went with WWMD, what would Miku do? And it was a decision-making process. But if you earn a place on students' t-shirts, I think that says an awful lot about you. So although she can't be here tonight to celebrate with us, I certainly wanted to celebrate her. So Dr. Christine Miku is the Teacher of the Year for Hillsborough High School, and it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Joseph Jabolski from Hillsborough Middle School.
Thank you, Karen. Well, it's my proud privilege to introduce our Teacher of the Year from Hillsborough Middle School, Mrs. Joanne Getz. Please, Joanne, come on up. Joanne brought her fan club with her this evening. I'm glad to see that. Joanne Getz has taught at Hillsborough for the last 24 years. She began her career actually in the elementary level, Triangle Elementary School, Woods Road Elementary, before joining the faculty of the middle school to teach 7th grade math in about 2008. And whether she was at the elementary school or at the middle school, frankly, in her classroom, Joanne Getz simply shines when she is around students. She knows just what to say and how to say it to touch kids' hearts and build their confidence, not only in mathematics, which seems to flow seamlessly when her students are with her, but in the development of good character as well. When asked what she wants most for her students, Joanne will tell you that she wants each of them to feel important, to feel respected and cared for, to feel appreciated, motivated, and inspired, and she does all of that and more. She once told me that spending her day with kids makes her feel all the things she wants students to feel: loved. Ms. Getz has been a mentor to at-risk students and to students taking part in our Future Teachers of America program. She is the co-advisor to our award-winning Hillsborough Middle School Student Council. Over the years, she has mentored many new teachers and teaching interns as well. She's been an active volunteer in the Hillsborough community as a Girl Scout leader, a Hillsborough Little League team mom, Junior Raiders football team mom, membership chair of the Hillsborough Raiders Touchdown Association. You can see as her kids got older, she was right there with them. In addition to her role as co-advisor of the HMS Student Council, as I mentioned, she has coordinated the Winter Wonderland dance and many great events for our kids at the school, making them feel warm and welcomed at our school. Mrs. Getz also serves on our HMS Community Emergency Response Team. She's been on my Principals Advisory Council for many years and our School Climate Committee. In all of these roles, Joanne Getz, teacher, leader, advisor, mentor, coach, and mom, she has distinguished herself for her dedication and contribution to the lives of thousands of youngsters, frankly, at HMS and throughout our whole community. Joanne, on behalf of Hillsborough Middle School and everybody in Hillsborough, thank you so much for all you have given. That's my pleasure to introduce Steve Kerrigan, Principal of Woodford.
Well, in keeping with the idea that a strong speech or strong presentation has a callback component to it, I'd like to bring up Scott Preisler and talk a little bit about football. Scott Preisler, please come on up. The football component came when Scott was in college. He was coaching football, and that was when the education bug bit him, and he knew that he had to be a teacher. Began his teaching career as a kindergarten aide, and then taught private K for 2 years, then came to Hillsborough and has been teaching kindergarten in Hillsborough for the past 13 years. I'm going to pause for an applause break on that one. I could stand here again for a ton of time talking about being on the Tools for Schools committee, serving on the Fun Fair committee, being a part of the Barnes & Noble night every year and having the kids listen to him read, being part of the Halloween Howl, the art show, the science fair. I could go on and on. I think the highest compliment that I can pay to Mr. Preisler is this year I had parents of former students who were writing me, recommending you and nominating you for Teacher of the Year, not just current students, but prior parents. One of my favorite stories is during the winter, Scott came to me and said, usually I'll hang out a little bit after school, but I kind of want to leave right away today. Is that all right? I was like, well, once the day's over, you can do what you want to do. But I had to ask, just out of curiosity, why? And what he told me was that 2 of his former students are playing very competitive hockey, and he told them that he would be there for them and watch them play. If that doesn't speak to the idea that once you're a student of Mr. Preisler, you're always a student and a part of his life, nothing else does. And that's who he is on a daily basis. I see the kindergartners come in every day. I see the smiles on their faces. I get a chance to interact with them when they're looking for the gingerbread man in school, and they come through my office, and I get to be a part of that. When you're outside talking about different types of trees and the fact that learning is everywhere. Scott, you do a phenomenal job on a daily basis, and not only do you teach students what they need to know, what they should know, you lay the foundation for their future education. And for that, I thank you and tell you congratulations as Teacher of the Year. I'd now like to introduce Mrs. Jody Howe from Woods Road School.
Thank you. It's with great pleasure that Woods Road School announces Teacher of the Year, Miss Mary Beth Mealy. Come on up. Mary Beth Mealy has been employed at Woods Road School since 2003. She completed her student teaching at Woods Road, and we were lucky enough to scoop her right on up into a first grade teaching position. Mary Beth taught first grade for 5 years, and then in 2008, she began teaching our transitional primary program. Ms. Mealy is a dedicated teacher who consistently plans lessons that meet and exceed district standards. She utilizes differentiated instruction and adapts the delivery, materials, and assessments of the various curricula to encourage the social, emotional, physical, and intellectual development of her students. Ms. Mealy is a natural leader. Through her years at Woods Road School, she's served on numerous committees and became active in the Hillsborough Education Association. Currently, she chairs the Character Education Committee, the Talent Show Committee, and the Flag Day Committee. They, along with the completion of her master's degree in educational administration, serve to prove that Ms. Mealy is a lifelong learner, and she goes above and beyond the demands of her classroom on a regular basis. Mary Beth Mealy is a true professional. Her confidence, her pleasant manner, encourage parent, colleague, and students to trust her, believe in her, and know that she will work diligently with them to achieve success. One parent said, "Words cannot express the gratitude we feel for having you as our son's teacher. You have opened the doors for learning and school. He experienced so much academic and emotional growth this year because of your compassionate guidance. You made learning magical." When I asked her colleagues about what they would say, they had the following responses. It's okay, you can breathe. Ms. Mealy is a master teacher who has touched the lives of so many. She's an inspiration to us all. If you ever need help organizing, she's the queen of organizing. I will leave you with this. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Ms. Mealy, Woods Road School community, thank you for all that you have done to move our school forward. Congratulations.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Heisel, principal of Triangle School.
Mrs. Heisel, principal of Triangle School.
Last but definitely not least, I am here to introduce the Triangle and Hillsborough Township Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Barrera. I have had the pleasure of knowing Mrs. Barrera since I joined the staff at Hillsborough Middle School in 2005. At that time, she was a special education resource teacher, and I was looking back today in my files, and I found the very first observation I ever did of you. And it said some of the very similar things that I was thinking about saying tonight. She has a way of working with children that just makes you feel like she loves what she does and she loves who she's doing it with. When we started this application process, one of the things that I know Dr. Schiff was very impressed with, as was I, was how she credited her parents with inspiring her with a love of learning, taking her to the library, making her see how important it is to be educated. And I know she does that for her two lovely daughters who attend Woods Road School and Auden Road School. and her wonderful husband, who brings her coffee on a regular basis and feeds that fix. When our librarian at Triangle School retired 2 years ago, and I found out that Mrs. Barrera had done her library science degree, I scooped her up, apologized to Dr. Trabowski, but took her right away into our Triangle School family, and I cannot tell you how wonderful those 2 years have been. She has transformed our library. She has transformed our program. Our teachers think the world of her, and what she has done for our students has been miraculous. She serves as a turnkey trainer for our teachers in the computer area. She developed all kinds of trainings. I cannot tell you enough how wonderful she is. So when she was nominated by both parents and teachers to be the Teacher of the Year, it was a no-brainer for our little committee to choose her as our Teacher of the Year. And I assume it was a no-brainer for the wonderful committee at the Board of Education, who also decided that she was the Hillsborough Township. I'm not very happy with the Somerset County group. They should have chosen her as well, but I didn't really want to lose her, so I can't honestly say I'm disappointed about that. But we are so very proud of you and so happy to have you, and we love you, and congratulations.
Thank you. We also have another Teacher of the Year for Sunnymead School, and unfortunately, our principal was not able to make it, Dr. Jenkins, and I'm sure that she would say about Karen Armano that she is a dedicated, committed teacher that just does wonderful things for her students. So please join me in a round of applause for Karen Armano. And now finally, I'd like to thank all of our retirees once again, as well as all of our Teachers of the Year, including our District Teacher of the Year, Taisha. Wonderful, and I see you brought your family. That's extraordinary. Let's give another final big round of applause for everyone. Thank you. I ask for the board's consideration to take a few-minute break. We do have some refreshments over here in honor of all of our retirees and Teachers of the Year. You are all welcome to stay and join us for some cake, and then afterwards we will begin with our business meeting. Thank you.
Make motion for.
Okay.
But don't read it
Ladies
out.
and gentlemen,
I'm
I'd like to
teaching
call the
everyone.
meeting back to order.
So that's what takes the time. Jordan reading it.
I never get to do that.
Well, he
so.
does. It's long tonight.
Is that it?
We have to look at the speaker too. Before I comment on action there before we vote on it. No, but we have to have comments on the action agenda for the public before we vote on it. It's not right.
So lucky me, we happen to be in a very unique situation this evening. So first I want to apologize for what I'm about to explain to the board and to the public. We are actually about to lose quorum on the board, which means that we have to open up the floor for public comment about the agenda specifically. We will then take a roll call to approve the agendas as listed. We'll close our formal meeting. I recognize that we have a lot of people here to speak this evening. We will allow you to come up after we close the meeting to make your public comment, but we can't take any action. This, in 4 years I've been on the board, this has actually never happened. So I'm very, very sorry, but we just found this out a few minutes ago. So at this time,
Any public comments on the agenda?
I'd like to call up any members of the public that want to comment on the agenda. Actually, you know what? Let me take a moment. I know I also have a distinguished guest. Assemblyman Chittarelli, if you would like to come up for a moment and make comment.
Jack Chitterelli, I don't know how distinguished I am, but thank you, Jen. Very, very briefly, good evening, Board.
Your hair is good.
Good evening, Board, and once again, thank you for your service to the community by serving. Dr. Schiff, thank you for your contributions to our educational system as well. On behalf of the community, I was here 3 months ago to ask you to give consideration to providing some type of support funding for robotics. You have done so. So tonight I'm here to say 3 things. First of all, thank you. Second of all, congratulations on what is really a phenomenal educational investment. You're going to be congratulated on the decision. And the third thing is we will be back in 9 months to show you what a great investment you made, the dividends on that investment, and why it warrants an even greater investment in the fiscal 15-16 school year. So with that, thank you very, very much. I can't tell you how appreciative. I know they're going to speak tonight. Jen, thank you for giving me the time right now because I have to run to a 9 o'clock meeting. But I can't tell you how appreciative all of the members of the Robotics Club are for what you've done. It's the best public policy for that particular group. And again, it's a magnificent educational investment, and you'll continue to see great dividends on that investment as well. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Assemblyman. So at this time, I'd like to ask any members of the public to please come up to the podium if you have anything to talk about with regards to the agenda.
Action items? These are things we're going to vote on tonight.
Okay.
These are
A
things-
board policy is also that we can limit comment to 2 minutes per person so that everyone, and there's quite a lot, have the opportunity to speak. So if you could just state your name and address for the record, that would be appreciated.
Okay, my name is Ed Yarshinsky. I live at 338 East Mountain Road in Hillsborough, and I have a son that's in the 1st grade at Woodfern Elementary School. And we're all a bunch of Woodford parents right here, all right, with a concern about what we've heard about enrollments, all right, for next year for the 2nd grade, possibly going up to 25, that there's a maximum of 25 students. And a few of us have received communications from Dr. Schiff, all right, explaining the situation. We appreciate that. Myself, first, I have a question. I went through the board policy, district policy online. I didn't see anything about class size within board policy. Is it there? Did I miss it? Where is the policy for class size?
We have a class size procedure. We do have a class size policy, actually, within, I believe it's in the policy on pupils, in that section of the policy, but afterwards, if you want, we can
I
look
looked
it up
all over
together.
for it, so did some others. We didn't see it in the district policy. I was wondering if it's an administrative decision on what
Yes.
the class size, the procedure actually is.
It is actually a combination of an administrative decision along with board direction. I hate to interrupt, but I see that we're going to have a lot of conversation about this. We do need to do our business of the board before we lose quorum. So I want to, we have bills that need to be paid, we have other action items that we need to get through. So if I could just ask your patience just for a moment and ask if there's anything that someone wishes to talk about that is on the agenda for action tonight, that the board is required before they do the business of the board to ask for any input about those actions. The class size issue is not on the board agenda tonight for action, but if there's seeing none, Madam President, may I ask to move the consent agenda at this point so that we can act as a formal governing body? With the board's permission, I ask to move the consent agenda for all sections. Section A, education, B, human resources, and C, operations.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, I did, but
I just want to.
I know, it's a very unique situation
Yeah, so
right now.
I just want to be very brief, but I noticed that we are filling a position of computer teacher here at Otten Road School, and we're filling it with an existing teacher, which is wonderful. I think that's great, but I would like to again remind the administration that I think we need to reevaluate, starting with the Education Committee next year, really what the role of the computer teacher is here and whether or not we need a course in computers in 5th grade, or whether or not the one-to-one initiative somehow is bringing that along to make that unnecessary. So with that, I'm fine with that, but I just wanted to raise that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the board?
I had
Sorry.
a quick one. I can't seem to find it now where it was. I guess it's under education. The outside placement of a student. So this is more of a general question. The outside placement for the student is at a tuition of $83,000. Years ago, maybe not that many years ago, but in some past years I've been on the board was, it's my recollection that the board was briefed on these. This seems to be, I mean, I've been on education committee now for a little bit, and I don't remember, did we cover this? This seems to be a lot. And I know some of these are due to whatever, I mean, it's always due to IEP and discussion. But I think for the future, I'd like to see something else, because now we're approaching outside district placement of $100,000.
They're over, actually.
Well, we may have even some over.
With associated services, they're down.
Well, we're right, but just the direct just the tuition itself. So I see it's on A8. So I'm not going to vote no or against it, obviously.
Sure.
But it is concerning to me, and I don't know why we used to have. I know you can't talk about it in public, but we used to have closed session. I don't know if it's proper to have a closed session about some of these that really get up into the stratosphere to explain what type of education this student is receiving. So I think the public kind of needs to know when we're approaching a tuition for an outside placement of $100,000. So I can be sure if someone asks me and sees it on the agenda tonight, I can say confidently, yes, that was something that child needed. And I can confidently tell the public that. That's all.
Yeah, it's a complicated process because the board does not play a role in placement decisions in the IEP and the child study team process.
I understand that.
However, that being said, some of the tuitions that we're starting to see now are extraordinary. I've actually met with our Assemblyman, Mr. Chittarelli, as well as other legislators at the state level to see if there are some reasonable cost containment measures for out-of-district placements. But the board does not play a role in making a determination of whether a particular placement is appropriate for a particular child. But we have to begin controlling some of these costs legislatively outside the school district, not only for costs within district, but for costs across the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Haas, did you have comment?
I had a question because I was not able to open up B17.1, 17.3 on my home or laptop computer. So I just want to know what those three positions were. B17.1 and B17.2 and 3.
I actually have this, Dr. Schiff. I'm able to open it. Okay.
Yeah, these are resolutions to create positions that were part of the budget. We had a position of computer teacher that was referenced before. That's in addition to our current level of staffing that was approved as part of the budget for where Mr. Handler presented his budget. And the technology integration coordinator is actually a new position for our district, which was discussed and approved as part of the budget development process. These positions are in the budget and were approved. There's also a technician that was part of that staffing. So any new positions that are created, we need to do it by resolution, even though we already did it as part of the budget development process. So this may seem redundant, but this is the procedure that we need to follow.
I know it's a procedure. I just didn't know which three positions it was. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions at this time from the board? No? Okay. So, Dr. Schiff.
Take a vote. We have a motion.
Wait, we have a motion, we're ready to take the vote, okay. Mr. Mahmood?
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky, Ms. Santafonte, Mr. Dutta,
Yes.
Mr. Gillette,
Yes.
Mrs. Haas,
Yes.
Mrs. Haley,
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer, Ms. Swasan,
Yes.
Mr. Kintz. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mahmood. At this time, I just would like to state on record, because of the situation that we are currently in, we will not be doing committee reports this evening, so we will ask the board members to give committee reports at the next meeting. If you've had 2 meetings, I'm sorry that you're going to have to do that. And at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Mahmood?
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
We adjourn.
This meeting is closed. We are adjourned.
Now, just because we can see the comments, however, the board is out of, is in terms of done with our formal meeting. But of course, we will stay and try to address the concerns as they're brought to our attention.
It's not an action item.
It's not an action item.
It is part of public discussion, so there is an opportunity in a public meeting twice, one in the beginning of the meeting and one at the end of the meeting, for the public to stand up and give commentary about thoughts or concerns of that nature. Sorry, maybe if you talk into the microphone, I can hear you.
I just want to make sure that I understand. So you're saying at the next board meeting, if we come early, we can be on the record and provide our public comments before or at the beginning of the evening as opposed to at the end?
Actually, both. This is a very unique situation. One of our board members has to leave at 9 o'clock, so we don't have a quorum any longer. Without a quorum, we can't hold a public meeting. So you were kind enough, all of you, to be patient with us, allowed us to move the business items that we needed to move. That now has concluded. The board is now, has adjourned its formal meeting, but we don't want to send everybody home. We'll stay and we'll listen.
We understand that and appreciate it. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what our options are going forward. That's what I'm
Absolutely. You can
saying.
come to the next board meeting, and it will be part of the public commentary. Because we're not in session technically, we're going to keep the tape rolling so it can be recorded for any kind of public comment. But again, we didn't want to send all of you home. And we didn't realize that the meeting was going to need to end so early.
And unfortunately, it's always hard to predict what could happen between now and our next meeting that could spark this kind of response as well. You know, we're trying to be as accommodating right now. This is such a unique situation. I feel really bad. I really do. I guess it's really...
Well, I think we all appreciate that, and we do appreciate the explanation. I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to hear everybody, and I don't want people to feel like they're rushed.
No.
You know, obviously, this
but
is
I
a
will
very
say, I
important
just
issue.
want to remind everyone that is here, because I see the large amount of people that are speaking, what our past practice has been is we will let you come up and speak for the 2 minutes. If you are all going to say the same basic thing, then we would ask you to say, I concur with the person in front of me. I concur with the person in front of me. So that it doesn't run on and on and on. That has been past practice. We haven't had to do that in quite some time.
Well, I find that very...
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Sure. And this is off the record, but again, we're here. We'll listen. If you choose not to speak tonight, you want to speak at the next board meeting, of course we'll respect that. So whatever, you know, this is a very unique situation. We only have 5 board members here currently. One of our members is going to need to leave momentarily, so we can't legally hold a formal meeting. But it's up to you. If you would like to stay and share, we will certainly listen, and it'll be recorded, and it'll be played on Channel 29 and on our YouTube channel. Or you can come back at the next meeting, and it'll be on the record. It'll be part of public comment during the meeting. So the choice is yours.
I had another question for you. I know you said that the upcoming meeting is not a meeting, we wouldn't be able to perform any actions at that point. What about the July meeting?
No, we can perform actions at our next board meeting. That's, right now, we're
No, I
closed.
understand you're adjourned for
Okay.
today. I
The next
totally
meeting
get that.
will, as long as we have a quorum and we have enough members, we will hold our meeting like we would normally hold it, and it would run as it would normally run. We would not be stopping. However, the item that you're discussing is not an actionable item for this board. So we would not be making any decisions to change, not change. That's something that would not happen at this table, whether it was tonight, 2
Or
weeks from
July.
now.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
It's not an action, right, am I saying that correctly, Dr. Schiff?
Well,
Right.
yeah, the class size procedure that we have is what we base our budget development process on. So we currently have 22 as the class size max in kindergarten and first grade, 25 as the class size max in grades 2 through 4 at the elementary level. It wasn't always that way, by the way. I think 3 or 4 years ago, we used to have second grade at 22. And there was a decision that was made 4 or 5 years ago, when there was a significant reduction in state aid to bring up the class size to 25 in second grade. Each year, we develop our budgets starting in the October timeframe. I run the enrollment report so we can see exactly what the current enrollment is, and then we predict what the enrollment will be for the following year. And based upon that prediction, and based upon how we, just calculate the class size max, we then determine what our staffing will be budgeted at for the next school year. As we get closer and closer to the August 1st date, and some of you got my email, hopefully, we actually have a date that we freeze our enrollment, so to speak, and that's the date that we use to calculate all of our staffing. So we do the August 1st date because we need time to staff the positions. We don't want to add a position the day before school starts or open up a new class section. So the class lists are prepared by the principals, all of the orientation is going on. So we want to do it August 1st. It gives us a full month before the school year starts to make sure that we have our proper staffing. Now, sometimes additional kids move in during, after August 1st. Sometimes we have over-enrolled class sizes. What we used to do in the district is that any kid that would move in to the district at a class size that was maxed, we would tell them, no room at the inn, you have to go across town to a school that has room. We changed that 3 years ago because it's not a really kid-friendly type of policy to send a child away from their neighborhood school to another school, and it actually increases class sizes on average, versus adding additional resources if necessary if a class becomes over-enrolled. Some of our classes actually become under-enrolled also, where kids move out after August 1st. We don't collapse sections at that particular point in time. But we do look and apply that rule across the entire district. So whether it's Woodfern, whether it's Amsterdam Elementary, whether it's Triangle, it doesn't matter. Everybody has the same class size maxes there. If we kept the class size, or if we changed the class size max, which is what many of you are asking the board to consider, from 25 to 22 students in second grade, we would need to open up 4 additional sections district-wide. Each section, including staff, is approximately $70,000. So that's about a $280,000 investment for the district. That wasn't budgeted for because we budgeted based upon the rules that were currently in place. Whether or not 22 is the right class size max or 25 is the right class size max is an important discussion to have as a board with the community about where are we comfortable with our class sizes. Those debates and discussions need to occur as we develop the budget. Otherwise, we get into a position like we're in right now, where there is a request for really not one position, but there's a request for 4 additional positions district-wide. That becomes complicated. We can work that situation better if we're able to have those discussions earlier in the budget development process, which, by the way, begins in October. We have open mic where we actually ask for the public to share with us what your priorities and concerns are, and we solicit a great deal of public input. And that helps the board, helps me, to articulate the priorities moving forward. So, you know, I don't think no one would argue that all things being equal, we'd rather have smaller class sizes than higher class sizes. I don't think anyone would argue that point. Problem is that the timing of that decision about the argument of whether to lower class sizes at particular grade levels needs to occur as we develop the budget moving forward. So I wanted to share with you a little bit of background. I don't know if you got that from my email, but I hope that clarifies some issues for you.
No, it clarifies it in my mind. All right, smaller class sizes are better. All right, the studies prove that, right, that it's better. That's what a lot of us are here to say. All right, I'm a high school teacher. I teach high school history. Give me a class of 28, 30, 32. I'm fine. I'll make it work. All right, but when you're talking about first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, these kids need that individual instruction. They need that time. They need that base so that when you get into the higher levels, right, they could succeed. I mean, if you're going to make that decision about class size, put it up there. All right, make the classes a little larger. You have to keep the classes down below smaller. That's the opinion I have of it. All right, I understand the budget process, what you explained it very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I know I'd like to come at the next meeting and, you know, do it in front of the full board and make it official and everything else. All right, but thanks for listening on this time.
Our pleasure.
Thank you all very much. Yeah.
I just have a question. If I read my letter tonight, could I still read it when the record, on record?
If you would like to, sure.
Okay, so should I just read it?
That's your call.
Okay. In the 5 years that my family
No,
has been...
wait, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. Are you asking if this tonight is on the record right now?
No, I know it's not on the
Okay.
record tonight. Okay. I
Sorry,
just
we-
feel like we're all here, so. Okay. In the 5 years that my family has been part of Woodfern School, I've only written one letter of concern to the principal. The news that there will only be 3 sections of second grade next year has compelled me to write again. As a master in education and public school teacher for 14 years, I know that class size is the #1 predictor of student success. Eliminating a section of second grade next year will absolutely hurt our children. I realize that having up to 25 students per teacher is in compliance with state law. However, our district's mission statement claims the Hillsborough Township Public School District is committed to providing a superior education for all students so they will lead us successfully and responsibly into the future. By increasing class size, providing a superior education is unlikely for many reasons. Number 1, the amount of individualized assessments and instruction increases each year. The larger the class size, the less time teachers have to truly meet the needs of each student and prepare them for future success. This is troubling because the academic expectations for each grade level has become more rigorous, as has the workload for each teacher. With lower class size, everyone wins. Teachers have more time to focus on instruction, and the students have more opportunities to meet their full potential and the expectations of the Common Core standards. Small class size leads to success in the future. It is not, number 2, it is not simply the number of students that should be considered, but the types of students. This specific grade level has many students that are active and rambunctious, including my own son. Hence, they require extra attention. With the ever-increasing academic demands, constant classroom disruptions will negatively impact every child. The fewer class sections offered, the higher the number of distractions per class. The quality of education will go down. A class size of 18 students per classroom is ideal in elementary school. It is not too small where it doesn't make sense for the district to fund it. Yet, it is not too large where the students get lost in the shuffle and the teachers are overwhelmed. In this current educational climate filled with excessive record keeping on each child and increasing demands on both the teacher and student, adding an extra 6 to 7 students to a class can have severe consequences. I have personal experiences with situations like this. My daughter has been through it already. She flourished in grades K to through when class size was less than 19. Her teachers had time to nurture her strengths and guide her into mastering the areas where she needed more help. In both 3rd and 4th grade, a class section was cut and class size increased to 25. Despite having phenomenal teachers, the classes were simply too big. My daughter didn't show as much growth. There wasn't enough time to provide a superior education to all students. To find out that my son may go through this same situation is disturbing. He went to TP and was given the great gift of time to help him mature. He's having the best year of school yet in first grade with a class size of 18. Next year, if the classes
Ma'am?
are too large...
Ma'am?
Yes?
I'm sorry. We are past 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, thank you very much.
Hi. First, I would like to just say how happy we are with the level of service that our children have received since starting Woodfern in 2012. Mr. Kerrigan and the dedicated staff have gone above and beyond to help my boys, and it is evident that their devotion to the children is second to none. There's a very positive, caring environment that gives the children an opportunity to excel academically as well as take pride in Woodfern as a whole. Recently, we were informed that there is discussion to cut the number of second grade teachers down to 3 for next school year. As a public school teacher for the last 15 years, it's common knowledge throughout the industry that the #1 factor to negatively affect children is maximum capacity classrooms. Not only will the children suffer, but I cannot even imagine one teacher trying to manage 25 8-year-olds. As skilled and motivated as a teacher may be, this is a difficult task to ask of someone. I know that one of the reasons that our children have done as well as they have is because they were in classrooms with less than 20 students, giving the respective teachers the opportunity to focus on areas of weakness as well as build upon their strengths. One of the reasons that we decided to move to Hillsborough 6 years ago is because of the stellar reputation the school system has and its commitment to providing a superior education for all students. It's simply unacceptable to see our school system fall into a downward spiral like we've seen with so many towns around us throughout the years. Although they may not have the liberty to say so, I'm sure a number of teachers in the district would agree with the point we are trying to make about this subject. And although they may not have been awarded the time to sit down and write a letter like this, many parents have verbally expressed how upset and concerned that they are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gwen Durlick. I live at 763 Amwell Road. I'm the parent of a first and a second grader at Woodfern School, and I realize that this is off the record. Earlier tonight, we heard how teachers impact students' whole lives. So too do decisions made here at the central office, Trenton, and Washington, D.C. One of those decisions that has the potential for lifelong impact on students is the possible decision to reduce the number of second grade classrooms at Woodfern School. If this decision advances into reality, students who have thrived in the reasonably sized first grade classroom environment, as evidenced by students' progress reports and teachers, SGOs, will need to adjust to almost 50% more classmates in an already tight classroom. Teachers will need to spend that many more hours in developing targeted educational goals for all students, 50% more time in parent contact, 50% more time in data analysis. But at the heart of it all, students who are still learning to learn will have to wait 50% more for that one-to-one clarification or verification or acknowledgement. I implore you to consider the educational ramifications to this short-term problem.
Thank you.
My name is Laura Lambert, and I live at 93 Equator Ave, and I have a daughter in first grade. I wrote a letter. I'm not going to take the time to read it right now. I concur with what has been stated. I just want to say that I taught in Basking Ridge at one of the elementary schools, and I know that they compared themselves with Hillsborough and Montgomery as one of the leaders in the area. Ridge has a very high standing in terms of high schools. And a couple of years ago, they had to make a choice academically, and with budget monies, they decided that they were going to put their money into adding teachers instead of increasing class sizes, and as a result, they made the choice to not fund their Spanish program enrichment, and I think that we need to consider alternatives because this kind of a decision with increased class sizes affects all the children.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Good
evening. My name is Keith Anastasi. My son Jacob attends Woodfern School in the first grade. Being this is off the record, I just am kind of hung on the whole budget was approved back in October. What, if any, actions can we take to implore the board to amend the budget to increase or change that rule? Can you help me with the procedures, possibilities? Explain that a little bit to me.
Before I let Dr. Schiff answer, the budget was not approved in October. The budget was just actually approved late April.
Okay.
We start having the discussions administratively. They start having
So
those discussions.
what's the post-approval amendment process for a budget? I mean, you guys don't know how many kindergarten classes till August, so you have some assumptions in your budget of how many classes and class sizes. When do you true it up and make the final decision? And is there the possibility for us to propose an amendment?
Can I answer, Madam President? The budget is somewhat fluid. Just to remind the public that we did have a budget this year that increased our taxes beyond the tax levy cap. We used some exceptions, used some banked room from not going to cap in previous years, but we went to the very top, so it's not a failure to tax. But there is some fluidity even at this point. So to directly answer that question, sure, one of the committees of the board could discuss suggestions in committee, bring it to the board if there's something to bring to the board, and we could vote on that. I don't know that a committee of the board would bring something like, would make that kind of a change at this time, but it is possible. And that's why we like to listen to you tonight, and that's why we all read all your emails, because there is that possibility to do that. We'd have to discuss, and just, you know how committees work. Committees meet with our professionals. It's not just the elected board members, so we get their input and ask them what can be done, things like that. And we'll have that discussion at a committee meeting. I suppose that's how it could happen.
Okay, and just one more point. You gave some numbers before, 70K times 4, 280 for the district. What's the total budget for the Hillsborough School District, so you can put that in perspective?
About 116 million.
116
million. Yeah.
100, so 240K divided by that's like 0.2%. It's a
No,
relatively small amount to the overall budget is what we're talking about.
As a percentage of whole, that's correct. But we have gone through a very difficult budget process this year. We spoke with the community of the possibility of privatizing about 30 or so positions. We looked at various options. We chose not to go in that direction. We chose to trim down our supply accounts. We chose to eliminate a non-teaching position. We chose to eliminate a requested tech position that was there. We added 5 additional special education positions within the district. This was not an easy process, and our state aid remained flat. So although it's a very small percentage, we're running very lean. And I think as Chair of Operations, Mr. Gillette would probably agree with me. Yeah. We have to be very, very careful that we make sure that we have enough surplus moving into future years, that we maintain our fiscal health as a district as well.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Madam President? The idea that kindergarten, first grade, that we allow up to 22 children in a class, and in second, third, and fourth up to 25, doesn't somehow mean that we average 25 students in the classroom across the district for second, third, and fourth grade. In fact, our averages are fairly good.
Yeah, high 19s, 20s. That's
Our
really where
averages
we're
are
at.
probably what you would like. If we were able to apply them across the board, they'd be good. The problem with this district is there's some trade-offs made. We have 6 elementary schools, and they are, we sort of kind of have neighborhood schools. You generally go to school, maybe not in Woodfern where kids are bused kind of a little further sometimes, but you generally go to the school near where you live. But to allow for that, to have 6 schools at K to 4, you automatically develop some inefficiencies in class sizes. So there's some sections and some grades at some schools that have 18 or 19 in a class, and some that have 23 or 24. That's the trade-off we're making. Now, if we wanted to get to our average, we could also say maybe it makes more fiscal sense to bus kids around and have everyone be 20 in a classroom. We would bus kids around and do that. We could bring everyone to where our average is, but that's the trade we're making. We'd like kids to still, at least at this stage, go to their neighborhood school. We don't have the kind of things that you're talking about, and we've read in your emails. We don't have those problems at Orton Road School, where everybody, all 5th graders and 6th graders, go to the same school. So you divide up the kids very evenly across the entire grades. Across every classroom has, an even number of kids. If we had a school that just did 3rd and 4th grade, like a junior middle school or whatever you want to call it, then we wouldn't have this problem either. We'd get back to our average. So we're making some trade-offs here, but unfortunately the budget restrictions that we have and probably preclude us, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but it probably precludes us from having the solution that you'd like to have.
Again, that's what we want to understand, right?
Okay.
I mean, I love
kinda-
Jack Chitter. I love Jack. If robotics cost 80 grand, that's one teacher. I vote for, not making 2nd grade daycare over
They asked for
new
$5,000.
trombones or making lacrosse a non-club sport.
And
That's
sir, I just want to, we're close to.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know if my time counted.
No,
Thank you.
No, that's all right. But it wasn't 80, it was like 5,000.
That's fine.
No, I just have one thing in response. The thing with Woodfern, though, is that you went from 4 sections to 3 sections. At 4 sections, we're at 18 to 19 students. But now the decision was made to make it 3. That's where the problem comes in. Not that there's discrepancies between the districts itself.
But in some, can I just add, at some places, in some sections, at some grades, at some schools, we may have went in the other direction and went from 3 to 4, or because of students moving in, or what have you. So that's how.
Is that how it went? Is that, in other schools, you've increased the number of teachers?
I don't know if we
Increase
did
the
it
number of
this,
sections?
every year we do that.
It's only based upon where they are in the class size max. So depending upon how many students there are, we look at this in terms of where the tipping point is. So for class sizes that are 25 as max, 50, 75, 100 are all the tipping points. And as a class gets close to the tipping point, we watch it very closely
I
to make sure.
understand that, but when I hear that, we went to 3 sections now at Woodford for next year for 2nd grade when it was 4.
No,
I
but
mean,
that happens, and it actually happens mostly now in 2nd grade, because that's where the class size max changes. And it's, and that's what we see across the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hassan?
So if I just can, when my kids were at Triangle, the same thing happened. There was, but it was between 2nd and 3rd grade, because my kids are both going to be in high school next year, which is a little painful. But the 2nd grade all had about 17 kids in the class, and then when we transitioned to 3rd grade, they cut a section. And it was incredibly painful to the teachers who were really looking forward to having that section of 17 2nd graders coming in. Painful to the parents as well. And that those 3rd graders in 3 classes then moved into 3 classes of 4th graders. So it happens at other schools, the exact same thing. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. But I wish that there were more parents who could represent the changes that happen. We have incredible educators in this district that will ensure your kids get the best that they can provide. As you all said, you have great teachers out at Woodfern too.
But as good as they are, having smaller class size, not limiting those sections, is more beneficial. I mean, statistics.
I'm not going to
education,
argue that point. I agree with you. But
there's even data, all right, as far as for the New Jersey Ask scores, which I'm sure you'll hear at the public session next meeting. But when we look at the school report cards, right, and we look, at some of the school districts, the elementary schools, there are some that are lower than others, and that's the places where the enrollment should not be increased.
Right. But considering the fact that every school is in the same boat with, I think Triangle class size this year in third grade is in second and third grade is pretty high. So I think it's in the low to mid 20s, which is where yours is going to be next year. And the budget process that we just went through, which was incredibly painful, as many of the teachers union staff can tell you. We were, how many meetings we were at till 11 o'clock, after 11 o'clock at night, trying to come up with a solution in a very lean budget. If we could, I think everybody would say, if we could come up with $280,000 quickly, first of all, we wouldn't be doing our job in going to bank cap. We should have already made those cuts. But also, we would all probably agree to do that. The problem is getting back to the point that was made by Mr. Anastasi, while there may be a process for changing the budget, the likelihood that a budget change of $280,000 could happen at this point is incredibly small. And that is coming from somebody who agrees wholeheartedly with low class size and knows, I know all of the data about it because we made those arguments when Triangle School was going through the same process. So I know that doesn't lessen the pain, but we can assure you that we will do everything that we can, and the district, I'm sure, will. And if the class size, like I said, goes, like Dr. Schiff said, goes up above
To 76.
76, there will be a fourth section, or there will be aides in those classrooms if it happens later. But right now, we will listen to everything you have to say. I don't know that anything is going to change, unfortunately.
You can put $280,000 though. You can do that as a board.
We can what?
You can spend $280,000. You can put those teachers in there.
We can if we find the $280,000.
We'd have to eliminate some major
Yeah, we'd have to.
stuff.
We would have to cut something else.
I'm here to speak on a different issue. My name is Jean Trujillo. I live at 5 Barrett Court, and my children attend Woods Road Elementary School and Otten Road Intermediate School. I'm here tonight because I have some general questions for the Hillsborough Board of Education about teacher renewal, non-renewal, and the entire tenure process. I'll preface my remarks by sharing some background that motivates these questions. I recently learned that one of my children's teachers resigned effective June 30th this year. My first reaction was sadness that the school was losing an excellent teacher, but I naively assumed that he was leaving for a better job elsewhere. I've since learned that resignation is a euphemism for when someone learns they will be non-renewed. This is a teacher who should be standing up here tonight getting a Teacher of the Year award, not facing this situation. Madam President and members of the Board of Education, I'm deeply concerned when I read glowing letters of recommendation that you have received, that I have copies of here, who speak about a teacher's teaching excellence and dedication to students and then discover that the teacher was not recommended for renewal in his tenure year. Dr. Schiff, you and I have had a conversation about the standard by which teachers are evaluated for tenure in the Hillsborough Township School District. In the tenure year, it is, can this person be recommended enthusiastically and without hesitation or reservation? Dr. Schiff, you've admitted that it's a very high standard. It's higher than other school districts. I understand that the Board of Education supports this metric because education excellence is a worthwhile district goal, and I agree. But this standard is also very subjective, and there's a huge disconnect between the parents and administrators on this issue. However, Dr. Schiff also reminded me, and I quote, "Bosses need to make these judgments. That is their job." I agree with you, too. This is a boss's job. But, Madam President and members of the Board of Education, how does one describe enthusiastic? Is it, and I know it when I see it kind of thing? I would like to know, how is this criteria applied? The lack of transparency troubles me, and it seems arbitrary. What happens when an excellent teacher is let go because an administrator wasn't enthusiastic about that person? It seems unfair that that would be the end of the story. Dr. Schiff, you also shared with me that in the first year, the standard by which a teacher is evaluated is the teacher doing good work? Are they worth the investment? For the second year, what is the likelihood that the person can be recommended for tenure? So it seems to me that if someone is renewed for their third year, they're on the right track to becoming tenured. Hillsborough Township is a really nice place to live. I've lived here for almost 12 years. Township is ranked favorably in national publications. And Dr. Schiff, you've shared with me.
Ma'am, we're at 2 minutes.
I'm almost done.
Okay.
Dr. Schiff has shared with me that the district gets about 200 to 300 applications for positions each year, and that the school district can afford to be selective in its hiring practice. But once a person is hired and seems to be on the right track for tenure, it seems disingenuous to non-renew in their tenure year and restart the hiring practice. So in conclusion, Madam President, members of the Board of Education, while I understand it's the superintendent's job to evaluate personnel and make hiring decisions for the district, what I'm asking is for the Board of Education for their advice on what the community can do to effect change when they see unfairness in this process. It's a real tragedy when excellent teachers are let go, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we can't comment for a few reasons. One, we're not in a public session. Two, it's a personnel matter, and we can't comment.
Okay, well, I'm not actually asking for your comment on the personnel matter. I'm asking for your comment on the tenure process in general. And the board's role in that is only to, as I understand, accept resignations. It is not to hire. I think that in this case, as you've seen from the letters, that I would hope that the board members would ask questions about this process. Why is there such a disconnect between the parents' point of view and the administrators?
I'll be good.
Mr. Gillette?
I want to remind the public that the elected board members do provide oversight in this process, even though we do not hire or fire. We only fire one guy, Dr. Schiff. And as long as as long as Dr. Schiff is there, I think you should trust that the board trusts Dr. Schiff. We do provide oversight in this, this is always a difficult one because board members, we cannot comment on personnel matters. Those are private between the employee and the employer. But I ask the public to trust the elected board members in this case and in other personnel cases to trust us. We hear you, and we can't say anything else but trust us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Gillette.
So you're saying that basically the public, we have a point of view, the community, and we have no rights in the matter. What are we entitled to know? Nothing about the process?
I think that the process you've discussed with Dr. Schiff, as far as why did the decisions are made by Dr. Schiff and staff to non-renew, we can never discuss those issues.
And so what I'm asking is when the community has a completely different point of view. It's like we're
We've
talking
had
about
this several times over the years, I can tell you. This is not the first unique case. We face these situations. It happens.
So you have these letters that I know you have in your possession.
Yes.
And I don't understand. It just seems that an employee has almost zero rights when they're non-tenured.
Well, that's not true. And again, what I'm trying to say is that you're not the first person that has enthusiastically written this board in support of a staff member, and the superintendent and this board has made the decision to not renew, right?
We can't comment about a particular employee,
Right.
whether or not there was a renewal or non-renewal. That is a private matter. What is on record is that Mr. Hoy resigned his position, and the board accepted his resignation at our last board meeting. And I understand that there's a level of frustration with this because as a community member, you want to know, especially when there are things about your child's teacher that you feel so passionately about. But you have duly elected representatives of this community that represent your interests and that are required to provide oversight to administrative activities and are also required to maintain the confidentiality of the personnel process. And I know that that may not be satisfactory to you or to others, but that's the law.
And that's okay that it's not satisfactory. I appreciate that. But I'm also here tonight because You know, Woods Road School, we have the 6 pillars of character. You know, when you don't see something, when you see something that's not being done right, you know, the 6 pillars I have here: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, caring, citizenship, and fairness. It's my citizenship to come here tonight and speak to you about a matter that I find unfair, very troubling, and not transparent at all. The standard by which tenure is granted, or shall I say renewal, in a tenure year seems arbitrary. The standard that you have, Dr. Schiff, that is placed upon administrators, that it's recommended with enthusiasm and without reservation, can be arbitrary.
Ma'am, I have to
I'll leave
just
it at that.
apologize.
Thank you.
I have to limit your time at this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? The kids want to come up?
What the kids do. Kids are good. Kids good.
Hello, robo-readers.
Hello, everyone. On a lighter note, and a note the board probably wants to hear tonight, my name is Joshua Prince. My address is 87 Amwell Road in Millstone, New Jersey, and I'm the business vice president for Team 75 Robotics. First, on behalf of Team 75, and personally, I would like to, even though they've all left, I would like to thank all of the retiring teachers for all the years of service to Hillsborough Township Public Schools. And I'd like to congratulate all of the winners of Teachers of the Year at their respective schools.
Hello, my name is Valerie Krall. I live on 5 Gale Court, and I'm the secretary of Team 75, and I would like to agree with what Joshua Prince just said.
I like that.
Yes, and I'm Adam Salve, the technical vice president of Team 75.
And my name is Alina DeVay, and I am president of Team 75, and I'd like to agree with what everybody else did say. Congratulations to all the retirees and to all the Teacher of the Years. So as Mr. Chettarelli previously stated, that we would like to thank the board for meeting our request of $7,500 for this upcoming year, and we really appreciate that. With this money, we will be able to pay for 2 district events, the registration for that, and the busing. So we really appreciate everything that you guys have done, and we look forward to meeting you and working with you in the future and inviting you to our warehouse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Kevin Calenti, resident, 4 Felon Place, but more importantly, a parent and a mentor for Team 75. On behalf of the parents, Part 75, and the mentors, I want to thank the Board of Ed for your support of Team 75. Your support will help the team to build on our past successes, which this year included awards in our community service, engineering inspiration, as well as the robot itself. For those of you that are not aware, since we last met with you, the team won the prestigious Chairman's Award at the Bridgewater competition. We qualified for regionals, competed there, and won the Gracious Professionalism Award. We also qualified for the World Championships and went out to St. Louis and competed with 100 of the top 400 of the top teams in the world. More importantly, though, all of our graduating seniors are continuing their education, with over 80% continuing in a STEM field. Despite our successes, we still have some challenges, first of which is finding faculty advisors for next year. Secondly, we will continue our overarching funding issues. And finally, we're looking for a permanent home. In March, we highlighted some of the opportunities that this team provides, and I hope that you would look to Team 75 as a showcase for the hands-on learning that the science curriculum changes are looking for, and hopefully give you another opportunity to put Hillsborough on the cover of the Star-Ledger. On a personal note, I just wanted to state that last week I met with the CIO of my company, McGraw-Hill Financial, to cover a lot of the initiatives that we were going through. But the one that he wanted to hear about first was the work with Team 75.
That's great.
After covering all of the items, he said, "Good work, but the most important thing is what you're doing with those students." And that's a sentiment that's shared by all the mentors on the team. In closing, I want to give you a quote from a movie that's, I'm sure, beyond, before many of us here. That's Humphrey Bogart. "I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. We once again apologize for this relatively odd way that we're doing our board meeting tonight. Are there any other comments? Did you wish to make a comment? Excuse me, I will.
Maria DeLucia, 122 South Triangle Road. Unfortunately, I guess I've missed the old business, so this won't make it into the record, but I'm unable to attend the next meeting, and I don't want to end the year without speaking and thanking the board, Dr. Schiff, Dr. Antunes, for, first of all, approving the HEA to go ahead with Pinch Hit for ESP. Pinch Hit for ESP, for those of you that don't know, is where community members are invited in to work alongside a support staff member for a day. And we were the first district in the state of New Jersey to have a successful pinch hit for ESP, and I want to thank you for your approval. And I'd also like to thank Mrs. Haas and Mrs. Santafanti, who were the two board members who came in and had spent a full day with us at the high school. We thoroughly enjoyed having you join us for the day. We also welcomed Mayor Doug Thompson and Rory Rispoli, who was the manager of Kohl's. They also came in and spent a few hours with us. And it was, I believe, overall a successful day, and it was very enjoyable, and I thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you for this leadership in this area.
Great idea.
First in the state. Thank you.
We're done? We're not really adjourning, right? We're just-
All right, we don't need to adjourn the meeting. I do want to mention that our acting president, Ms. Haley, had to leave. It was a family emergency, wanted to stay, but had to go. Wish all of you a wonderful night. Safe travels. Thank you.
We better, let's